Base jumping is no doubt a wild world of extreme sports where the excitement is off the charts. Base jumping is one of those heart-pounding activities that takes things to a whole new level. Just think of leaping off massive cliffs, bridges, or any high spot with just one parachute to save the day. Now, in this world of thrill, one guy stood out: Carl Boenish. He was like the cool leader of the base jumping crew, making it all even more exciting. But here's the kicker. 1984, his awesome journey took a heartbreaking turn, and the base jumping community felt a major loss. Why would a perfectly sane person parachute off a cliff? That's what people ask base jumper Carl Boenish all the time. Carl Boenish was the cool, adventurous guy who made base jumping the talk of the town. Born in 1941, he was all about the thrill, blending his love of skydiving and making movies. Imagine the late 1970s. Carl and his wife, Jean Boenish, started filming the jaw-dropping world of base jumping. They became the ones to watch side by side, spreading the hype of this wild sport and taking it to new extremes. They were basically the power couple of the base jumping scene, making it cooler than ever. Boenish, a kind of merry prankster of base jumping, devised carefully worded answers to that question. Carl Boenish had two loves: base jumping and his wife, Jean, who shared his passion for the sport. The pair of passions is the subject of Sunshine Superman, opening Friday at the Gateway Film Center. When you base jump, you really have to commit, and I think that's true of falling in love, said Mara Strauch, director of the documentary Sunshine Superman, which chronicles Carl Boenish's life. Boenish wasn't the first person to base jump, but he pioneered the movement. In the 1960s, Boenish worked as an electrical engineer for Hughes Aircraft when he took to skydiving. Soon, he began to film his jumps using cameras attached to divers' helmets. He became so proficient that he was hired to film aerial sequences for the Gypsy Moths, the 1969 big-budget skydiving movie. After 1,500 jumps from airplanes, he turned his attention to jumping from fixed objects, such as the El Capitan rock formation in the Yosemite National Park in California. Carl Boenish was one of the first to dive headfirst into this daring scene. Think of him as the cool guy who led the charge and hooked everyone on the thrill. But in 1984, things went south real fast. Boenish would simply describe the feeling. You have a feeling of freedom, power, and confidence. Almost euphoria. You think, wow, I feel like Superman. Many people already know about base jumping through countless videos of these daredevils posted on social media. But only some realize that Boenish co-invented the sport in the late 1970s and early 80s. He even helped come up with the name. BASE is an acronym for buildings, antennas, and earth. Jumping from these places is considered more dangerous than skydiving from airplanes because there's less time to deploy the parachute or to recover if something goes wrong. Now, almost 4 decades later, it's impossible to know exactly how many base jumpers there are, but a veteran of the sport told CNN affiliate KCRA that he estimates that worldwide there are about 1,000 people who jump weekly and another 1,500 who do it once or twice a year. About 10,000 people have base jumped at some point in their lives, he said. Boenish, whose name rhymes with Danish, is a fearless, friendly Californian with a big snaggletooth smile, who jumped so many times that he created a career and an entirely new sport. Early in his life, Boenish worked as an electrical engineer for Hughes Aircraft, which aviation legend Howard Hughes owned. His boundless, energetic personality left him bored and restless with his chosen career, so he dedicated his energy and his engineering expertise into his two passions: filmmaking and skydiving. On July 7 of that year, Carl and a group of fellow adrenaline junkies gathered at Norway's Trollveggen Cliff, one of the highest vertical rock faces in Europe. Little did they know that this fateful day would forever alter the narrative of base jumping history. As Boenish launched himself into the void, equipped with his parachute, tragedy struck. An unforeseen malfunction in his gear resulted in a catastrophic freefall, and attempts to deploy a reserve parachute proved futile. The world watched in horror as Boenish descended from a thrilling spectacle to a heartbreaking disaster. He wanted to capture the historic jump on film in a spectacular way. I wanted to figure out a way, if possible, to film a person running off a cliff, but from a vantage point looking back toward the cliff, Boenish explained in CNN Film's documentary, Sunshine Superman. To do that, he built a 20-foot angled aluminium ladder that he and some rock climbers attached to El Capitan's rock face. Boenish perched himself on a seat on the end of the ladder, suspended over the ledge. After seeing what Boenish and his team accomplished, other parachutists jumped off El Capitan in the months afterward, leading to arrests. The park began requiring special sanctioning and permits. However, the system broke down and authorities stopped granting permits in 1980. In 1979, Boenish also tied the knot with Jean. Not long before the couple got married, she did her first parachute jump from an aircraft, but she soon developed an interest in the sport and partnered with her spouse to practice and promote it. The Boenishes launched Base Magazine, which featured articles on base jumpers' adventures, as well as the gear and safety precautions needed for the activity. Along with the thrills come the deadly risks. Base jumping is probably the deadliest sport in the world, wrote ex-base jumper Chris McNamara. It is also probably the coolest. McNamara wrote on his website that he left the sport in 2009, fearing he'd eventually die in a base jumping accident. He believed that base jumping does not get safer with more experience. No official statistics are available, but according to a fatality list maintained by the base jumper website Blink Magazine, 275 people have died base jumping since 1981. After an unsuccessful second jump from a different takeoff point, Boenish, then 43, was discovered dead by two local mountain climbers at an upper portion of a wall glacier about halfway down Trollveggen Mountain. The main cause of the accident is still unknown, though theories include tangled wires, a chute that didn't open all the way, or a combination of the two. 2 days after Boenish passed away on July 9, 1984, his wife Jean managed to leap off the same peak, Trollveggen, from which her husband had attempted. She would never again jump from the site after that. The base jumping community was shaken to its core by the loss of its visionary leader. Boenish's death served as a stark reminder of the inherent risks associated with extreme sports, especially those as unforgiving as base jumping. Despite the tragedy, his legacy endured through the indomitable spirit he had instilled in the community. Investigations into the incident revealed the sport's dangers and the need for stringent safety measures. The tragedy prompted a re-evaluation of equipment and protocols within the base jumping community, with renewed efforts to minimize the risks while preserving the exhilarating essence of the sport. The aftermath of that day sent shockwaves through the base jumping community. Losing their leader was tough, making everyone take a step back and look at the risks of this extreme sport. Investigations showed that changes were needed, better gear, stricter rules, to make sure this kind of tragedy didn't happen again. Even though Carl Boenish is no longer with us, his impact lives on. A documentary called Sunshine Superman captured his story and showed us what made him tick. His legacy lives in the hearts of those who love pushing boundaries. The 1984 crash was a sad chapter in base jumping history, but it also reminds us of the courage and friendship that makes this wild community tick. In the end, it's a bittersweet tale of chasing passion, even if it comes with a heavy cost. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section below. For more videos like these, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to always be updated with the latest news as soon as it's uploaded. Thanks for watching. See you again soon in the next one.